What is up, everybody? Heading back out to the garage here. Gonna dive back into the Hvac again and just keep plugging away at this. Still got a ton of work to do. Top to it. Alright, so since the last video, get this cord out of the way, I started actually putting the heater box back in. It was just kind of temporarily set in place just to get a better idea of where to put this dash and all the components. So before I finish the dash, I want to get the heater box and the fan box put in more permanently. I had to fix this heater box. The blend door hinge was actually broken on it. I didn't realize that. So I got that fixed and working on getting that put in. I also started getting the I guess the heater box or air conditioning box, whatever, blower motor housing put in on this side as well, because I had taken that all out when I was redoing or welding up the firewall. So it's set in there. It's not all bolted in yet. I was working on it last night and it just got dark and cold, and I didn't really feel like working on it anymore. So we will finish tackling that today. The issue I have right now is I need to find the bolts. When I took this thing all apart, I don't know what I did with the bolts. They're somewhere. So I need to track those down and then I can finish bolting this thing in place. All right, well, I can't find, or at least I don't think I can find all the right bolts, but I found a ton of bolts. They're all spares and stuff from dismantling the car. So I think I have enough to make this work. So I'm just gonna go for it. All right, so now we're on to my next little dilemma. We're inside the truck now. And I need to adapt the Crown Vic, kind of like I guess this is your, where it brings the air in. And normally it brings it in through the top right here. And it brings it through the cowl of the Crown Vic. Well, it doesn't work on the truck because of how everything's laid out. And I saw on the Frame Faction Facebook page, somebody took and modified the side of the box here. I had to cut this one already to fit the truck over it, but they modified the side of the box and they're able to utilize the where it draws the cold air on the 66. I can show you that. So the hole you're seeing right there, the big round one, that is where the 66 originally drew air from for the heater, like outside air. So I'm gonna try and utilize that because it's right next to where I cut that hole. And that's what the guy did online, is he was able to kind of fabricate it to fit there. So I'm gonna try and utilize that to my advantage to draw air from outside, from that like fender well area. And then I'll just cap off this top part here. So I'm gonna try and work on that, get that wrapped up before I go ahead and install this. Alright guys, so I got the top of this all covered up. So here's my opening on the side. Obviously I'll need to enlarge it some. And I have this, which is the original boot that went from the 66 heater box to the kick panel there. So I'm actually thinking about, because it's flexible, I'm thinking about trying to use this in some way. One of the problems is that when I did all the cutting, where this attaches, because this is actually what attaches to the side of the truck, I cut the flange off that this would have attached to. So I may actually run this backwards and use this flange to attach to the kick panel of the truck, and then use this part and somehow attach to this. I think with it being as flexible as it is, I want to see I can make something work. So let's hop back in the truck and see if we can get this working. Alright guys, so I turned the camera off because I was just kind of struggling with this. It was not an easy task to incorporate these two things together, and I changed the game plan up a little bit and went a different route completely. So this is where we stand right now. Now, obviously it needs a ton of work. This is actually very similar to what I saw online. Somebody had used, I think it was like a fabric softener bottle or something like that. So this is like the only way I could get it to like kind of match up. And then what I'll do now is obviously make this look and function a whole lot better. The Maxwell House coffee jug, the opening in it fits perfectly into the opening in the 66 kick panel. So now that I have this kind of temporarily screwed in place where it needs to sit, I will make this function, or well, not function better. Well, yes, function better, but also look better. So I'm gonna tackle that now. Alright guys, so this is where we're sitting right now. It looks a whole lot better. I'm gonna paint it, but before I paint it, I'm gonna throw it back in there and make sure it fits. And it should look a whole lot better once it's painted. And it's gonna be hidden under the dash anyways. It's nice and strong, it's sturdy, not going anywhere. So, not the most aesthetically pleasing or I guess conventional way of doing things, but whatever, if it works, it works. So let me get this thrown in there and make sure it fits. Well, we had some nice weather today, so I took the opportunity, pulled the truck out, and while it's still light out, I'm gonna wrench on it outside while I can get this passenger door open. I've got the fan box here from last night when I made that all up, so I'm gonna try and get that installed and finish up getting all the HVAC stuff put back in the truck. Well guys, what a nightmare it was. I knew it was difficult getting that heater box and stuff out of the truck. It was like 10 times worse getting it back in. Yeah, I just ended up cutting the camera off because I was getting frustrated and it was just taking way too long. So I finally got that back in, and I went ahead and got some other work done in the truck too. I'll go ahead and show you that now. Let me get the camera turned around. As you can see, heater box is all installed. I got all the vacuum lines plugged back in and the wiring all plugged in for the most part. I do have quite the mess going currently in the truck. You can see the column is pulled back out, computer's loose, a bunch of the wiring's loose, and that's because I've been working on tidying up this area. I relocated the computer inside the truck, normally on this style Crown Vic there in the engine bay. So I have relocated it to inside the truck just to clean the engine bay up some. And I think it just kind of better protects it from the elements. So in doing that, I had to sorry, there's a dirt bike driving around. In doing that, I had to relocate some of the wiring harnesses back inside, which then has kind of caused a cluster of messes and stuff and plugs, and you got like pre-bent or pre-directed harnesses. But what I've been working on is I finished up finally mounting the column to the truck, added some bracing in right here. It's got a brace that ties in, you can't really see, but it ties in from here. You can kind of see it going back to the brake pedal assembly. So now the steering column is fully mounted. It was just kind of temporarily mounted before because I wasn't quite sure on placement, but now I'm sure on placement. So column is all done. I've been also working on, I've got some pieces cut and tacked to finish up. I had to finish up this little stretch here And this last little corner piece right here, obviously it's not welded. I need to fit it, you know, a little better, and then finish welding that. This is a kind of a grommet panel that I made to bring this harness back through. I still have to make one for this. Here's 2 of the plugs for the computer. The other one is, where's it at? Oh yeah, it's in this harness bundle here. And then I went ahead and I made a spot, made 2 brackets for the computer. Let me see if I can get this up in here. I'll show them before. Maybe I'll show them. Yeah. So you can see one that comes off the side of the truck here. And there's one that comes off of the brake pedal assembly here. Each have a hole in it. And that will allow the computer to set up in here. I don't have any bolts thrown in at the moment, but that will allow the computer to sit right there. I can get the plugs in on the back side. It's up out of the way and just kind of nice and clean out of the elements. So what I'm going to work on tonight is finish welding all this to get the cab pretty much buttoned up for the most part. So I'm going to get hammering away at this. Alright guys, so as you saw, I got those all welded in, all up through there, and then you saw me kind of pull all that wiring over here after I got this column bolted in and started kind of sorting out this wiring. So, turn signal switch is on, column is in place. I got all the wiring for headlights, traction control, ignition switch, overdrive, and then the what do you want to call it, like the halo ring for the key. And what were these? I don't remember. Oh well. Oh, I think this went to, yeah, this went to the clock spring and on the steering column, which went to all the buttons on the steering column. So that I'll have to address later. But I started kind of pulling this wiring up and getting it routed in a little bit of a better way. I got it kind of pulled all the way up through here and then across kind of the way the factory had it, which actually seemed to be working out really well. So as you can see, it's pulled up in here. I got the, if I remember right, I think this is the lighting control module back here, tucked up on top of the brake pedal assembly. And then you can see the computer's tucked back in there. It's not really bolted in place. So I got some bolts holding it in the proper location, but it's just kind of sitting there temporarily until I get all this routing kind of better routed more permanently. What I'm dealing with right now is I've got this fuse box, which I don't have much wiggle room with it. And I don't really want to go through and start like really stripping this harness and lengthening wiring to get things in better spots, just because that's I mean, this is one of the main fuse boxes. That would be a nightmare. So I'm going to try and refrain from doing that. So I'm tackling dealing with this, and then I've got these 2 bulkhead connectors that used to go through the firewall. So there's this one here, and then there's this massive one here. And I think I got this one kind of, they're not really bolted together yet, but I got this one pulled up here. And I actually think I can get this one to, well, now it's going to fall. I think I can get this one, and I think I may be able to get this one kind of pulled up into this area on top of the computer, which will clear everything up from hanging down too low. And then all I have to worry about is mounting this fuse box, which with the dash piece coming down, I can mount it just right up behind there, be able to access it very easily. So that's kind of what I'm tackling right now. This harness here for the HVAC and radio and all that, it's just gonna kind of run like the factory did along the bottom of the dash here, behind all that paneling. So it's actually falling together pretty well. I've got this wiring mess. Obviously you see some cut wires, bare wires that I need to tackle yet. And I have that, if you've been following along, well, I don't know if I put it in one of those, I think I did, but the door control module, so that this thing doesn't think that the doors are open. I have to wire that in yet, and that'll probably just get, I don't know, I'll find a spot for it somewhere. But slowly getting this wiring knocked out, pretty much getting a lot of the cab stuff finished up. So once this wiring's done, I'm going to seam seal and paint these probably in the morning, but it is definitely getting there. Guys, I've also spent some time under the hood of the Hvac getting some of this stuff cleaned up, physically cleaned up, because the engine was very dirty. You can see it's a little bit cleaner now, but also just further getting the wiring cleaned up under here. I deleted the EGR, made a little plate right here, a block off plate. I do still need to weld the bung up on the manifold. What else did I do? Oh, I had to delete the vacuum lines. They went to the EGR, just cut them and melted them closed. Rerouted some more of the wiring. I had this fuse box sitting here, moved it over there. Just trying to get this tidied up a little bit more, deleting everything I can and simplifying things, rerouting wiring to kind of, I guess, tuck it, you might say, just to make it look a little cleaner. I'm deciding on if I want to try and pull these valve covers off and paint them, because there's so much black in this engine bay that everything just kind of blends in together. And I like the orange color on the wheels, and I had the dual overhead cam valve covers painted that color, actually. I thought those looked pretty good on the dual overhead cam. I know the single overhead cams aren't as good looking, but I think I might pull those off and get those painted, just to throw some color in here and just break up all the black in here. But things are slowly getting there. Just a lot of cleanup work right now, and little odds and ends and all the little time-consuming stuff that I'm working on tackling right now. And the weather's starting to get nice, so I want to get this thing on the road and get it driving. Well guys, as I was saying, I got a lot of stuff I'm trying to get wrapped up on this, but I apologize that one, it's taken so long. It's been a few weeks, I think, since I've got a video out. Like I've said in the previous video, with the new baby on the way and my wife being sick and then all the corona stuff going on, it's just been kind of difficult getting out here working on the truck. But my wife is starting to feel better, and the corona stuff seems to be slowly subsiding. So I'm hoping to get out here working on this more, get some more stuff knocked out on it, and get this thing on the road. Like I said, I apologize for kind of being all over the place with it and taking a while to get some of these videos out. But guys, I appreciate you watching. I really do appreciate it. I can't say that enough. The channel is growing. Last I checked, we're like almost to 1,200 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. If you guys have any questions, drop those down below, any comments, and I'm sure to answer those. And guys, stay tuned, because quite possibly here within the next few weeks, everybody's out riding their dirt bikes. But guys, within the next few days, I think I may have a video coming out on the 62 Falcon that we picked up a few weeks ago, a few months ago. We actually picked it up like a few days before we found out that my wife was pregnant. So, but yeah, I might have a video coming out on that here shortly, so stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so that man, dirt bike drags outside, so that you guys don't miss out on any notifications. So again, guys, I appreciate you watching. Until next time, get out in the garage, work on your projects. Every little bit counts, and tune in next time, guys. Thanks for watching.